Hello, English learners. Your host for today. If you're new here, I'm so happy you've joined us. On this channel, we upload English learning lessons regularly to help you improve your fluency faster, build confidence, and speak English naturally in your daily life. In today's masterclass, you are going to do something powerful. You're going to upgrade your English vocabulary from basic to advanced, not just by memorizing difficult words, but by actually learning how to use advanced vocabulary naturally in real English conversations. Because sounding fluent is not about using complicated words randomly. It's about using the right words in the right context with confidence. In this lesson, we will explore advanced English vocabulary that native speakers use in everyday life, at work, in social situations, during discussions, when expressing opinions, when describing emotions, and even when handling disagreements. You will hear real-life style conversations, practical examples, and guided practice, so you can immediately start using these advanced words yourself. Many learners know basic English very well, but when it comes to expressing deeper ideas, emotions, or professional thoughts, they feel stuck. They repeat simple words like very good, very bad, very big, or very interesting. Today, we are going to replace those basic phrases with more precise, powerful vocabulary that will instantly elevate your English. By the end of this masterclass, you will know how to transform simple sentences into sophisticated ones, how to sound articulate instead of ordinary, and how to express yourself clearly in both casual and professional conversations. Most importantly, you will practice with me, because vocabulary only becomes powerful when you actually use it. Throughout this session, I'll guide you step by step. I'll give you advanced words, explain their meanings clearly, show you how native speakers use them, and then we'll practice together in natural conversation-style practice exercise. So stay focused, repeat after me when I ask you to, and really feel the rhythm of the sentences. Before we begin, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss future masterclasses that help you move from basic English to confident, fluent English. Now, take a deep breath, get comfortable, maybe grab a notebook if you like to write things down, and let's begin building your advanced English vocabulary together. Let's start with something simple but powerful. The difference between basic English and advanced English is not grammar. It is precision, it is depth, and it is the ability to choose words that truly reflect what you think and feel. Many learners say, "I am very happy," or "I am very tired," or "This is very important." And there is nothing wrong with these sentences. But if you want to sound fluent, articulate, and confident, you need vocabulary that carries stronger meaning. Instead of saying, very happy, you could say, "I'm absolutely delighted," or "I'm thrilled," or even, "I'm overjoyed." Do you hear the difference? See, the emotional intensity changes immediately. When you say, "I'm thrilled about this opportunity," you sound expressive and natural. When you say, "I'm overjoyed to see you," you sound warm and fluent. Now repeat after me, slowly. "I'm absolutely delighted. I'm thrilled about this opportunity. I'm overjoyed to see you." Feel how the tone becomes richer. Advanced vocabulary is not about showing off. It is about communicating clearly and effectively. For example, many learners say, "This is I'm bad." But in real conversations, native speakers often say, "This is unacceptable," "This is disappointing," or "This is concerning." Depending on the situation, imagine you are at work and a project fails. Instead of saying, "This is very bad," you could say, "The results are disappointing, and we need to reassess our strategy." That sounds professional and confident. Repeat after me. The results are disappointing. We need to reassess our strategy. Let's move into daily life. Situations. Imagine your friend tells you about a new idea. Instead of saying, "That's very interesting," you could say, "That's fascinating," "That's intriguing," or "That's quite compelling." Each word has a slightly different nuance. Fascinating suggests strong curiosity. Intriguing suggests mystery. Compelling suggests something convincing. Or powerful. Now practice with me. That's fascinating. That's quite intriguing. That's a compelling argument. One of the most important skills on advanced English is replacing very plus adjective with a stronger adjective. Instead of very big, say enormous. Instead of very small, say tiny or minute. Instead of very tired, say exhausted. Instead of very hungry, say starving. Let's practice in natural sentences. I was exhausted after the meeting. The building was enormous. She felt starving after skipping lunch. Repeat them confidently. I was exhausted after the meeting. The building was enormous. She felt starving after skipping lunch. Now let's build a small real-life conversation using advanced vocabulary. I'm exhausted. That presentation was intense. I agree, but you handled it exceptionally well. Thank you. I was nervous at first, but once I started, I felt more confident. You articulated your ideas clearly. It was impressive. Did you notice the vocabulary? Exhausted, intense, exceptionally well, articulated, impressive. These words elevate the conversation instantly. Now repeat the key phrases. I handled it exceptionally well. You articulated your ideas clearly. It was impressive. Another powerful upgrade in vocabulary comes from using more precise verbs. Many learners overuse the verb get. Instead of saying, I got better at English, say, I improved significantly, or I made substantial progress. Instead of, I got angry, say, I became frustrated, or I was irritated. Instead of, I got an opportunity, say, I received an opportunity, or I was offered an opportunity. Repeat after me. I improved significantly. I became frustrated. I was offered an opportunity. Let's practice in a daily scenario. Imagine you are talking about your personal growth. Over the past year, I have improved significantly in my communication skills. I've become more confident, and I've made substantial progress in expressing my ideas. Clearly, that sounds advanced, fluent, and professional. Now repeat slowly. I have improved significantly. I've made substantial progress. I express my ideas clearly. Advanced English also requires emotional vocabulary. Basic learners say, I'm sad. Advanced speakers might say, I feel discouraged. I feel disheartened. Or, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Each word paints a clearer picture. If you say, I feel overwhelmed with responsibilities, people understand that you are not just sad. You, geez, are under pressure. Practice with me. I feel discouraged. I'm feeling overwhelmed with responsibilities. Now let's expand this into a longer conversation practice. I've been feeling overwhelmed lately. Work has been demanding, and I'm struggling to maintain balance. I understand. It sounds like you're under a lot of pressure. Yes, it's been challenging, but I'm trying to stay optimistic. That's a good mindset. Remember, setbacks are temporary. Notice the words overwhelmed, demanding, struggling, challenging, optimistic, setbacks. Repeat the sentence. I'm trying to stay optimistic, despite the challenges. Another important element of advanced vocabulary is using phrases instead of single words. Instead of saying, I think, you can say, in my opinion, from my perspective, or I strongly believe that. Instead of, I don't agree, you could say, I respectfully disagree, or I see your point, but I have a different perspective. These phrases make you sound mature and diplomatic. Practice with me. From my perspective, I respectfully disagree. I see your point, but I have a different perspective. Let's imagine a discussion between friends about working from home. In my opinion, working remotely increases productivity. I see your point, but I have a different perspective. I find it harder to concentrate at home. That's understandable. It depends on the individual's work style. I strongly believe that flexibility is the key advantage. Now repeat. So key expressions. In my opinion, I have a different perspective. It depends on the individual. Flexibility is the key advantage. To sound fluent, you must also use collocations naturally. Collocations are words that commonly go together. We say, make a decision, not do a decision. We say, take responsibility, not get responsibility. We say, reach a conclusion, not arrive a conclusion. Using correct collocations makes your English sound natural. Repeat after me. Make a or decision. Take responsibility. Reach a conclusion. Let's create a practice exercise using collocations. Yesterday, I had to make a difficult decision regarding my career. After careful consideration, I reached the conclusion that it was time to take responsibility for my growth and pursue new opportunities. Practice saying that whole exercise slowly with me. Focus on clarity. Focus on confidence. Now I want you to transform basic sentences into advanced ones. With me. Listen carefully. The movie was very good. Upgrade it. The movie was outstanding. Or, the movie was absolutely phenomenal. Repeat. The movie was outstanding. The movie was absolutely phenomenal. Another one. The problem is very complicated. Upgrade it. The issue is highly complex. Repeat. The issue is highly complex. Another one. She is very smart. Upgrade it. She is exceptionally intelligent. Or, she is remarkably insightful. Repeat. She is exceptionally intelligent. She is remarkably insightful. Let's combine several advanced words into one smooth practice exercise. I recently watched a phenomenal documentary that was both insightful and thought-provoking. It addressed complex social issues and presented compelling arguments, supported by substantial evidence. I was genuinely fascinated by the depth of analysis and the articulate way the ideas were conveyed. Now repeat that practice exercise, sentence by sentence, Focus on pronunciation. Focus on rhythm. As you continue building advanced vocabulary, remember that context matters. You cannot simply memorize words. You must understand how they are used in real situations. For example, devastated is stronger than sad. You would say, she was devastated by the news. Not, she was devastated because she missed the bus. The intensity must match the situation. Repeat, she was devastated by the news. Another advanced word is reluctant. Instead of saying, I don't want to do it, you could say, I'm reluctant to accept the offer. That sounds natural and mature. Practice. I'm reluctant to accept the offer. Let's practice one more real-life dialogue. I've been contemplating a career shift. That's a significant decision. What's motivating you? I feel unfulfilled in my current role. I'm seeking something more meaningful. That makes sense. Pursuing fulfillment is important. Notice the vocabulary. Contemplating, significant, motivating, unfulfilled, meaningful, pursuing, fulfillment. Repeat slowly. I've been contemplating a career shift. I feel unfulfilled in my current role. The more you expose yourself to advanced vocabulary and actively use it, the more natural it becomes. Fluency is not about speaking fast. It is about choosing words deliberately and expressing yourself clearly. When you replace simple vocabulary with precise, expressive language, people perceive you as confident and capable. Now take a deep breath and repeat this final practice. When exercise with me, I am committed to expanding my vocabulary and refining my communication skills. I strive to express my thoughts clearly, articulate my ideas confidently, and engage in meaningful conversations. With consistent practice, I will gradually transform my basic English into advanced, fluent expression. Keep that energy with you, because we are just getting started, and your vocabulary journey is about to expand even further. Now let's continue by deepening your ability to describe situations with clarity and sophistication, because advanced vocabulary is not only about single powerful words, it is also about how you build ideas with nuance and precision. Many English learners describe situations in very simple ways. For example, the meeting was very long and very boring, but a fluent speaker might say, the meeting was unnecessarily prolonged and rather monotonous. Do you feel the difference? The second sentence sounds composed, professional, and articulate. Repeat after me slowly. The meeting was unnecessarily prolonged. The discussion felt rather monotonous. Good. Now let's expand that into a natural workplace reflection. The meeting was unnecessarily prolonged, and the discussion felt rather monotonous. I struggled to remain engaged because the key points were not clearly articulated. However, I tried to maintain my focus and contribute meaningfully when necessary. Practice. On that exercise again. Pay attention to rhythm. Remain engaged, clearly articulated, contribute meaningfully. One powerful way to sound advanced is by using adjectives that show evaluation. Instead of saying good, you can say beneficial, valuable, constructive, or effective. Instead of saying bad, you can say inefficient, counterproductive, or inadequate. Imagine you are giving feedback. Instead of saying, your idea is good, you could say, your proposal is highly constructive and offers. Cite a practical solution. Repeat. Your proposal is highly constructive. It offers a practical solution. Now imagine you disagree with someone politely in a professional environment. Instead of saying, "This plan is bad," you could say, "This approach may be ineffective in the long term." Do you see how diplomatic that sounds? 1. Practice. This approach may be ineffective in the long term. Let's move into daily life vocabulary related to personal experiences. Many learners say, "I'm very busy these days." A more fluent way would be, "My schedule has been quite demanding lately." Or, "I've been juggling multiple responsibilities." Repeat after me. My schedule has been quite demanding lately. I've been juggling multiple responsibilities. Now let's build that into a longer conversation. Imagine you meet a friend after a few weeks. "You've been quiet lately. Is everything all right?" "Yes, everything's fine. My schedule has been quite demanding, and I've been juggling multiple responsibilities." That sounds exhausting. It is, but I'm learning to prioritize more effectively. Notice the vocabulary: demanding, juggling responsibilities, prioritize effectively, exhausting. Repeat the key phrase: I'm learning to prioritize more effectively. Another area where advanced vocabulary is essential is expressing opinions thoughtfully. Basic learners often say, "I think it's good," or "I think it's bad." But advanced speakers expand their reasoning. For example, "I believe this initiative has significant potential, particularly because it addresses long-standing issues." Repeat. This initiative has significant potential. It addresses long-standing issues. Let's practice a structured opinion exercise together. From my perspective, investing in personal development is essential for long-term success. It enhances self-awareness, strengthens resilience, and creates opportunities for continuous growth. Although progress may seem gradual at times, the long-term benefits are undeniably worthwhile. Repeat that slowly. Focus on pronunciation. Enhances self-awareness. Strengthens resilience. Undeniably worthwhile. Now, let's strengthen your vocabulary related to challenges and problem solving. Instead of saying, "I have a big problem," you can say, "I'm facing a significant obstacle," or "I'm dealing with a complex issue." Instead of, "We fixed the problem," say, "We resolved the issue," or "We found a viable solution." Repeat, "I'm facing a significant obstacle. We resolved the issue. We found a viable solution." Let's practice in context. Recently, our team encountered a significant obstacle that threatened to delay the project. However, after careful analysis, we identified the root cause and implemented a viable solution. As a result, we managed to stay on schedule. Repeat sentence by sentence. Encountered a significant obstacle, identified the root cause, implemented a viable solution. Now I want you to practice emotional intelligence vocabulary. Instead of, "He was very angry," you can say, "He was visibly frustrated," or "He was deeply irritated." Instead of, "She was very scared," you can say, "She felt apprehensive," or "She was extremely anxious." Repeat, "He was visibly frustrated." She felt apprehensive about the outcome. Let's build a scenario. Imagine you are waiting for exam results. "I felt apprehensive while waiting for the results. Although I had prepared thoroughly, I couldn't help but feel slightly anxious about the outcome. However, I reminded myself that I had done my best. Repeat that whole practice exercise slowly, felt apprehensive, prepared thoroughly, anxious about the outcome. Advanced English also involves transitional phrases that connect ideas smoothly. Instead of saying but, sometimes you can say, however, nevertheless, or on the other hand. Instead of saying so, you can say therefore, as a result, or consequently. Practice these words. However, nevertheless, consequently, as a result. Now let's create a practice exercise using transitions. I initially considered declining the offer. However, after evaluating the potential benefits, I realized it could significantly enhance my professional growth. Consequently, I decided to accept the opportunity. Repeat that again with confidence, evaluating the potential. Benefits. Significantly enhance. Decided to accept. Another important vocabulary area is describing personality traits in an advanced way. Instead of nice, say considerate or compassionate. Instead of confident, say self-assured. Instead of hardworking, say dedicated or committed. Repeat after me. She is incredibly compassionate. He is highly self-assured. She is deeply committed to her goals. Let's practice describing someone in a more advanced way. My colleague is exceptionally dedicated and consistently demonstrates a strong sense of responsibility. She is compassionate toward her team members and remains self-assured, even under pressure. Repeat that slowly. Exceptionally dedicated. Strong sense of responsibility. Remains self-assured under pressure. Now we will practice upgrading simple storytelling. Instead of saying, I had a very good day, try this. I had a remarkably productive day, filled with meaningful accomplishments. Instead of, I was very nervous. Say, I was slightly apprehensive at first, but I gradually regained my composure. Repeat. Remarkably productive. Meaningful accomplishments. Regained my composure. Let's build a short daily life narrative together. This morning, I felt slightly apprehensive before my presentation. However, once I began speaking, I regained my composure and delivered my points with clarity. By the end, I felt genuinely accomplished and proud of my progress. Practice that exercise slowly, regained my composure. I delivered my points with clarity, genuinely accomplished. One more advanced skill is softening statements to sound polite. Instead of, you are wrong, say, I'm not entirely convinced that this is accurate. Instead of, I don't like this idea, say, I have some reservations about this approach. Repeat, I'm not entirely convinced. I have some reservations about this approach. Let's practice in a polite disagreement conversation. I understand your reasoning, and I appreciate your perspective. However, I'm not entirely convinced that this strategy will be sustainable in the long term. I have some reservations about its feasibility. Repeat that whole practice exercise slowly. Appreciate your perspective. Sustainable in the long term. Reservations about its feasibility. Now let's combine several advanced expressions into a reflective practice exercise. Over the past few months, I have encountered several challenges that tested my resilience. Although the journey has been demanding, it has also been incredibly rewarding. I have gained valuable insights, strengthened my determination, and developed a more refined approach to problem solving. Repeat that confidently. Tested my resilience. Incredibly rewarding. Developed a more refined approach. Fluency grows when you consistently expose yourself to vocabulary that reflects depth and clarity. It is not about memorizing hundreds of difficult words overnight. It is about gradually integrating advanced expressions into your daily conversations. Each time you replace a simple word with a more precise one, you elevate your communication. Now take a moment and repeat this final practice exercise with focus and intention. I am consciously expanding my vocabulary and enhancing my ability to communicate effectively. With every conversation, I become more articulate, more confident, and more fluent. My progress may be gradual, but it is consistent and meaningful. Keep practicing aloud because your voice is the bridge between knowledge and fluency. Now let's continue by strengthening one of the most important areas of advanced fluency, expressing ideas with clarity and intellectual depth, because when you move from basic to advanced English, your thoughts become more structured, your explanations become more refined, and your speech becomes more persuasive. Many learners say, "It's a big change," but a more advanced speaker might say, "It represents a significant transformation," or "It marks a substantial shift." Notice how the meaning becomes more powerful and more precise. Repeat after me. It represents a significant transformation. It marks a substantial shift. Let's expand that into a professional example. The company's new strategy represents a significant transformation. In the way we approach innovation, it marks a substantial shift toward long-term sustainability and customer-centered solutions. Repeat that slowly. Significant transformation, substantial shift toward sustainability. Now let's focus on explaining reasons more intelligently. Instead of saying, "because it's good," you could say, "primarily because it offers long-term benefits," or "largely due to its practical advantages." Repeat, "primarily because it offers long-term benefits, largely due to its practical advantages." Practice this full sentence with me. I decided to enroll in the course, primarily because it offers long-term benefits and provides practical knowledge that can be applied immediately. Say it again with confidence, primarily because, applied immediately. Another essential skill in advanced vocabulary is expressing contrast smoothly. Basic English says, "It's difficult but possible." Advanced English says, "Although it is challenging, it remains achievable." Repeat, "Although it is challenging, it remains achievable." Let's practice in a daily life context. Although adapting to a new environment can be challenging, it remains entirely achievable with patience and persistence. Repeat, adapting to a new environment, achievable with patience and persistence. Now we will focus on vocabulary related to improvement and growth. Instead of saying, "I want to get better," say, "I aspire to enhance my skills," or "I aim to refine my abilities." Repeat after me. I aspire to enhance my skills. I aim to refine my abilities. Let's build a reflective practice exercise together. Over the next few months, I aspire to enhance my communication skills and refine my ability to express complex ideas clearly. By dedicating time to consistent practice, I believe I can achieve substantial progress. Repeat that carefully. enhance my communication skills, express complex ideas clearly, achieve substantial progress. Another common area where learners remain basic is describing effort. Instead of saying, "I tried very hard," you can say, "I exerted considerable effort," or "I invested a significant amount of time and energy." Repeat, "I exerted considerable an effort. I invested a significant amount of time and energy." Now, let's create a real-life example. I invested a significant amount of time and energy into preparing for the interview. Although the process was demanding, the experience was incredibly rewarding and strengthened my confidence. Repeat sentence by sentence. Invested a significant amount of time, incredibly rewarding, strengthened my confidence. Advanced vocabulary also includes strong descriptive verbs. Many learners overuse make, do, and have. Let's replace them with more precise verbs. Instead of make progress, say achieve progress or attain progress. Instead of have an impact, say exert an influence. Instead of do research, say conduct research. Repeat, achieve progress, exert an influence, conduct research. Now practice this exercise with me slowly. The initiative has the potential to exert a positive influence on the community if we conduct thorough research and implement effective our own strategies. We can achieve meaningful progress. Repeat slowly. Exert a positive influence. Implement effective strategies. Achieve meaningful progress. Let's now expand your vocabulary for describing opportunities. Instead of good opportunity, say valuable opportunity, promising opportunity, or remarkable opportunity. Instead of big chance, say significant opportunity. Repeat, a promising opportunity, a significant opportunity for growth. Practice this scenario. I was recently offered a promising opportunity that could significantly advance my career. Although it requires stepping outside my comfort zone, I believe it will be a transformative experience. Repeat that carefully. Promising opportunity, significantly advance my career, transformative experience. Now let's strengthen your ability to speak about goals. Basic English says, "I want to be successful." Advanced English says, "I am determined to achieve long-term success." Or, "I am committed to pursuing an excellence." Repeat, "I am determined to achieve long-term success." I am committed to pursuing excellence. Let's build that into a motivational practice exercise. I am committed to pursuing excellence in everything I do. Although the journey may involve setbacks, I remain determined to achieve long-term success through perseverance and continuous learning. Repeat, committed to pursuing excellence. Remain determined, perseverance, and continuous learning. Another advanced skill is expressing to uncertainty in a sophisticated way. Instead of saying, "I'm not sure," say, "I'm uncertain," or "I'm not entirely confident," or "I have some doubts regarding this matter." Repeat, "I'm not entirely confident about the outcome. I have some doubts regarding this matter." Now practice in context. While the proposal appears promising, I'm not entirely confident about its long-term feasibility. I believe further analysis is necessary before reaching a final decision. Repeat, long-term, feasibility. Further analysis is necessary. Let's move into vocabulary for describing success and achievement. Instead of very successful, say highly successful, remarkably successful, or exceptionally successful. Instead of big achievement, say significant accomplishment or notable achievement. Repeat, a significant accomplishment, a notable achievement. Practice this exercise with me. Completing the project ahead of schedule was a significant accomplishment for the entire team. It not only demonstrated our dedication, but also reinforced our ability to collaborate effectively under pressure. Repeat slowly, significant accomplishment. Reinforced our ability. Collaborate effectively under pressure. Now let's work on sounding more persuasive. Instead of saying, "You should try this," say, "I strongly encourage you to consider this option," or "I would highly recommend exploring this approach." Repeat, "I strongly encourage you to consider this option. I would highly recommend exploring this approach." Practice in a conversation. I would highly recommend exploring this approach, as it offers practical benefits and long-term advantages. While it may require initial effort, the results are likely to be highly rewarding. Repeat, highly recommend exploring. Practical benefits. Highly rewarding. Advanced vocabulary also means speaking with clarity when describing failure. Instead of "it failed," say, "The initiative did not yield the expected or results," or "The strategy proved ineffective." Repeat, "Did not yield the expected results. The strategy proved ineffective." Now practice in context. Although we invested considerable resources in the project, it did not yield the expected results. However, the experience provided valuable insights that will inform our future decisions. Repeat that carefully. Invested considerable resources. Valuable insights. Inform our future decisions. Let's now create a longer integrated practice to exercise. Over the past year, I have encountered numerous challenges that required resilience and adaptability. Although some initiatives did not yield the expected results, each experience provided valuable insights. I have invested considerable effort in refining my skills, and I remain committed to pursuing excellence. I strongly believe that consistent dedication will ultimately lead to meaningful and sustainable success. Repeat this entire practice exercise slowly with me. Resilience, and adaptability, refining my skills, sustainable success. Fluency develops when advanced vocabulary becomes part of your natural expression, when you no longer hesitate to replace simple phrases with precise, meaningful alternatives, and when you can express opinions, describe experiences, and engage in thoughtful discussions confidently. Now take a breath and repeat this affirmation with conviction. I am steadily transforming my English from basic to advanced. I am expanding my vocabulary, strengthening my expression, and building the confidence to communicate with clarity and sophistication. Every day, my fluency becomes more refined and more natural. Keep that momentum, because we are continuing to elevate your vocabulary even further. Now let's continue by elevating the way you express complex thoughts. Because true fluency is not only about vocabulary strength, it is about structuring ideas in a way that sounds thoughtful, analytical, and natural. Many learners say, "This is important," but advanced speakers expand that thought. They might say, "This plays a crucial role in long-term development," or "This serves as a fundamental component of overall success." Repeat after me. This plays a crucial role in long-term development. This serves as a fundamental component of overall success. Let's place that into a real-life reflection. Developing strong communication skills plays a crucial role in long-term professional growth. It serves as a fundamental component of building meaningful relationships and establishing credibility. Repeat. So that slowly, crucial role, fundamental component, establishing credibility. Now let's strengthen your vocabulary for analyzing situations. Instead of saying, "We need to look at the problem," say, "We need to examine the issue thoroughly," or, "We need to conduct a comprehensive evaluation." Repeat. Examine the issue thoroughly. Conduct a comprehensive evaluation. Practice in context. Before making a final decision, we need to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of all available options. By examining the issue thoroughly, we can minimize potential risks and maximize positive outcomes. Repeat that carefully. Comprehensive evaluation. Minimize potential risks. Maximize positive. See outcomes. Another powerful upgrade involves replacing "a lot of" with more precise expressions. Instead of "a lot of problems," say "numerous challenges." Instead of "a lot of opportunities," say "abundant opportunities." Instead of "a lot of benefits," say "substantial benefits." Repeat after me. Numerous challenges, abundant opportunities, substantial benefits. Now, let's build a realistic daily life practice exercise. Throughout my career, I have encountered numerous challenges that required patience and determination. However, I have also discovered abundant opportunities for growth and gained substantial benefits from each experience. Repeat slowly. Encountered numerous challenges, abundant opportunities, substantial benefits. Advanced English also means expressing cause and effect with clarity. Instead of saying, "It happened because of this," you can say, "This occurred as a direct consequence of," or "This was largely attributed to," repeat, "as a direct consequence of," was largely attributed to. Practice this example. The delay occurred as a direct consequence of unforeseen circumstances. However, the outcome was largely attributed to the team's resilience and adaptability. Repeat carefully. Direct consequence. Largely attributed to resilience. Let's now work on describing improvements in a more sophisticated way. Instead of "it became better," say, "It improved significantly," or "It underwent a noticeable enhancement." Repeat. It underwent a noticeable enhancement. It improved significantly over time. Practice in a reflective sentence. Over time, my confidence underwent a noticeable enhancement as I consistently practiced speaking in real-life situations. Repeat. Noticeable enhancement. Consistently practiced. Now we will strengthen your persuasive vocabulary. Instead of saying, "This is a good idea," you can say, "This is a highly viable solution," or "This presents a compelling alternative." Repeat. A highly viable solution. A compelling alternative. Practice in conversation. After evaluating the available options, I believe this presents a compelling alternative that aligns with our long-term objectives. Repeat. Compelling alternative. Aligns with our long-term objectives. Let's now expand your emotional vocabulary related to motivation. Instead of, "I am very excited," say, "I am genuinely enthusiastic," or "I am deeply motivated." Repeat. Genuinely enthusiastic, deeply motivated. Build this into a daily life scenario. I am genuinely enthusiastic about pursuing this opportunity because it aligns with my long-term aspirations. I feel deeply motivated to invest the necessary effort to achieve meaningful results. Repeat. Aligns with my long-term aspirations. Invest the necessary effort. Another important area is describing habits and discipline. Instead of saying, I practice every day, you can say, I maintain a consistent routine, or I adhere to a disciplined schedule. Repeat. Maintain a consistent routine. Adhere to a disciplined schedule. Practice in context. In order to achieve steady progress, I adhere to a disciplined schedule and maintain a consistent routine of daily practice. Repeat slowly. Adhere to a disciplined schedule. Steady progress. Now let's move into vocabulary for describing risk and uncertainty. Instead of, it's risky, say, it involves a certain degree of risk, or, it carries potential uncertainties. Repeat. Involves a certain degree of risk, carries potential uncertainties. Practice this reflective exercise with me. Although the decision involves a certain degree of risk, it also carries potential opportunities for substantial growth. After careful consideration, I decided that the potential rewards outweighed the uncertainties. Repeat. Potential rewards outweighed the uncertainties. Advanced vocabulary also allows you to express subtle differences in meaning. For example, confused can become perplexed or bewildered. Happy can become content or fulfilled. Tired can become fatigued. Repeat. I felt perplexed by the instructions. I felt fulfilled after completing the task. I was mentally fatigued after the discussion. Let's integrate those into a narrative. At first, I felt perplexed by the complexity of the task. However, as I gradually understood the process, I began to feel more confident and ultimately fulfilled when I completed it successfully. Although I was mentally fatigued by the end of the day, I felt proud of my accomplishment. Repeat that entire practice exercise. Perplexed, complexity, mentally fatigued, proud of my accomplishment. Now let's practice upgrading your storytelling ability. Instead of saying, I had a problem at work, you could say, I encountered an unexpected complication at work. Instead of, it was difficult, say, it proved to be particularly challenging. Repeat. Encountered an unexpected complication. Proved to be particularly challenging. Practice this exercise with focus. Yesterday, I encountered an unexpected complication at work that initially seemed overwhelming. The situation proved to be particularly challenging, but through careful analysis and strategic thinking, I managed to resolve it effectively. Repeat. Unexpected complication, strategic thinking, resolve it effectively. Another key element of advanced fluency is expressing reflection and insight. Instead of saying, I learned something, you could say, I gained valuable insight, or I developed a deeper understanding. Repeat. Gained valuable insight. Developed a deeper understanding. Practice in context. Through this experience, I gained valuable insight into the importance of preparation and developed a deeper understanding of effective communication. Repeat slowly. Valuable insight. Deeper understanding. Now let's combine multiple advanced elements into a comprehensive practice exercise. Over the past year, I have maintained a disciplined routine and invested substantial effort in refining my communication skills. Although the journey has involved numerous challenges and a certain degree of uncertainty, it has also provided abundant opportunities for growth. Each obstacle served as a valuable learning experience, enabling me to develop resilience and gain deeper insight into my potential. Repeat this practice exercise carefully. Disciplined routine, abundant opportunities. Develop resilience. Fluency is a gradual, my transformation. Every upgraded word adds depth. Every refined sentence adds confidence, and every practice session strengthens your ability to express yourself naturally. When advanced vocabulary becomes part of your everyday thinking, your speech flows with clarity and sophistication. Now repeat this affirmation with intention. I am steadily building advanced vocabulary that enhances my clarity and confidence. I communicate with precision, express ideas thoughtfully, and engage in meaningful, choose conversations with ease. My fluency is evolving, and my English is becoming more articulate every day. Stay focused, because we are continuing to expand your expressive range even further. Now let's continue by strengthening your ability to express abstract ideas. Because advanced English is not only about describing visible things, it is also about explaining thoughts, beliefs, values, and perspectives with clarity and depth. Many learners say, "It's important to think positively." A more advanced way to express that would be, maintaining a positive mindset is essential for sustained personal growth. Repeat after me. Maintaining a positive mindset is essential for sustained personal growth. Let's expand that into a reflective practice exercise. Maintaining a positive mindset is essential for sustained personal growth, particularly during challenging periods. It enables individuals to remain resilient, adapt to unexpected circumstances, and preserve their motivation despite setbacks. Repeat slowly. Sustained personal growth. Remain resilient. Preserve their motivation. Now let's refine how you speak about influence and impact. Instead of saying, "It changed my life," you could say, "It had a profound impact on my perspective," or "It significantly altered my outlook." Repeat. It had a profound impact on my perspective. It significantly altered my outlook. Practice in context. Reading that book had a profound impact on my perspective and significantly altered my outlook on personal development. It encouraged me to reassess my priorities and pursue more meaningful goals. Repeat. Profound impact. Reassess my priorities. Pursue meaningful goals. Another essential upgrade is, expressing gradual change. Instead of "it slowly improved," say, "It gradually evolved," or "It progressively strengthened." Repeat. It gradually evolved over time. It progressively strengthened. Practice this example. Over the course of several months, my confidence gradually evolved as I consistently engaged in challenging conversations. With each interaction, my ability to articulate complex ideas progressively strengthened. Repeat. Gradually evolved. Progressively strengthened. Let's now focus on vocabulary for describing clarity and understanding. Instead of "I understand," you can say, "I comprehend the situation," or "I have a clear grasp of the issue." Repeat. I comprehend the situation. I have a clear grasp of the issue. Practice in a conversation. Thank you for your detailed explanation. I now have a clear grasp of the issue and feel more confident in proceeding with the task. Repeat. Clear grasp of the issue. confident in proceeding. Now we will strengthen your ability to express hesitation in a sophisticated way. Instead of saying, "I don't know if it's right," say, "I'm uncertain whether this is the most appropriate course of action," or "I'm hesitant to proceed without further clarification." Repeat, "Uncertain whether this is the most appropriate course of action. Hesitant to proceed without further clarification." Practice this reflective sentence. While the proposal appears promising, I'm hesitant to proceed without further clarification regarding its long-term implications. Repeat, long-term implications. Advanced vocabulary also allows you to describe balance and moderation. Instead of, "It's not too much," say, "It is reasonably balanced," or "It is proportionate to the circumstances." Repeat, reasonably balanced, proportionate to the circumstances. Practice in context. The workload is demanding, but it remains reasonably balanced and proportionate to the objectives we aim to achieve. Repeat, proportionate to the objectives. Now let's enhance your ability to speak about ambition and vision. Instead of, "I have a dream," say, "So I have a long-term vision," or "I aspire to achieve a clearly defined objective." Repeat, "I have a long-term vision. I aspire to achieve a clearly defined objective." Practice in a motivational exercise. I have a long-term vision for my personal and professional growth. Although the path may involve uncertainty, I aspire to achieve clearly defined objectives through consistent effort and strategic planning. Repeat slowly. Long-term vision. Strategic planning. Another area where advanced vocabulary makes a difference is describing consistency. Instead of, "I keep doing it," say, "I remain committed," or "I persist despite difficulties." Repeat, "I remain committed. I persist despite difficulties." Practice this sentence. Despite occasional setbacks, I remain committed to improving my skills and persist in pursuing meaningful progress. Repeat, persist in pursuing meaningful progress. Let's now work on describing complexity in more detail. Instead of saying, "It's complicated," say, "It involves multiple interconnected factors," or "It requires careful consideration of various elements." Repeat, multiple interconnected factors, careful consideration of various elements. Practice in context. The issue involves multiple interconnected factors that require careful consideration before a sustainable solution can be implemented. Repeat, sustainable solution can be implemented. Now let's strengthen your vocabulary for describing communication itself. Instead of, "He speaks well," say, "He communicates with clarity and precision," or "He articulates his ideas effectively." Repeat, communicates with clarity and precision, articulates his ideas effectively. Practice in a realistic scenario. During the presentation, she articulated her ideas effectively and communicated with remarkable clarity and precision. As a result, the audience remained engaged throughout the discussion. Repeat, remarkable clarity and precision. Audience remained engaged. Advanced English also includes subtle emotional vocabulary. Instead of, "I feel good," you can say, "I feel content," "I feel fulfilled," or "I feel at ease." Repeat, "I feel content with my progress." "I feel fulfilled by my achievements." "I feel at ease with the decision." Practice this reflective exercise with me. After months of consistent effort, I finally feel content with my progress. Although there is still room for improvement, I feel fulfilled by how far I have come and at ease with the direction I am heading. Repeat. Fulfilled by how far I have come. At ease with the direction. Now let's combine advanced vocabulary into a more sophisticated daily life reflection. Over time, my perspective gradually evolved as I encountered diverse experiences and gained valuable insight. Although certain decisions involved a degree of uncertainty, where each choice significantly altered my outlook and strengthened my resilience, I now maintain a clear grasp of my long-term vision and remain committed to pursuing clearly defined objectives. Repeat this entire practice exercise slowly. Gradually evolved. Significantly altered my outlook. Clearly defined objectives. Fluency at an advanced level is not dramatic. It is subtle. It is controlled. It is intentional. When you choose words carefully and express your ideas with depth, people listen more attentively. They perceive you as thoughtful and composed. Now repeat this affirmation confidently. I am developing the ability to express abstract ideas with clarity and sophistication. My vocabulary is expanding steadily, and my communication is becoming more refined and impactful. I speak with confidence, intention, and precision. Continue breathing calmly and speaking steadily, because we are moving even deeper into advanced conversational mastery. Now let's continue by refining how you handle real conversations in daily life, because advanced vocabulary becomes truly powerful when you can use it spontaneously in natural interactions. It is one thing to understand a word, but it is another thing to apply it confidently in a flowing discussion. So in this part, we will simulate realistic conversations where you gradually replace basic expressions with more refined alternatives. Imagine you are discussing your workload with a colleague. A basic response might be, "I'm very busy and very stressed." An advanced version would sound like this. "I've been under considerable pressure lately, and my workload has been particularly demanding." Repeat after me. Under considerable pressure, particularly demanding. Now let's expand this into a short workplace dialogue. How have you been recently? I've been under considerable pressure lately. My workload has been particularly demanding, but I'm managing it as efficiently as possible. That sounds challenging. It is, but I'm prioritizing my responsibilities and focusing on long-term results. Repeat the key expressions. Managing it efficiently. Prioritizing my responsibilities. Focusing on long-term results. Notice how the vocabulary transforms a simple conversation into something confident and composed. This is how fluency sounds in real life. Calm, precise, and deliberate. Now let's practice expressing agreement in a more sophisticated way. Instead of saying, "Yes, I agree," you can say, "I completely agree with that perspective," or "That aligns perfectly with my viewpoint." Repeat. I completely agree with that perspective. That aligns perfectly with my viewpoint. Practice in context. I completely agree with that perspective. In fact, I believe it aligns perfectly with my viewpoint on sustainable growth and long-term development. Repeat slowly. Aligns perfectly with my viewpoint. Sustainable growth. Now, let's practice expressing partial agreement. Instead of saying, "Maybe," you can say, "To some extent I agree," or "There is some validity to that argument." Repeat. To some extent I agree. There is some validity to that argument. Practice this short dialogue. I think working long hours guarantees success. To some extent I agree. However, there is some validity to the idea that balance is equally important. That's true. Excessive pressure can eventually become counterproductive. Repeat. Excessive pressure can eventually become counterproductive. Now let's upgrade how you express gratitude. Instead of saying, "Thank you very much," try, "I sincerely appreciate your support," or, "I'm truly grateful for your assistance." Repeat. "I sincerely appreciate your support. I'm truly grateful for your assistance." Practice this exercise with me. I sincerely appreciate your guidance throughout this process. Your insights were incredibly valuable, and I'm truly grateful for the support you provided during such a demanding period. Repeat. Sincerely appreciate. Incredibly valuable. Demanding period. Advanced fluency also involves handling criticism gracefully. Instead of saying, "You're criticizing me," say, "I value constructive feedback," or "I'm open to suggestions for improvement." Repeat. I value constructive feedback. I'm open to suggestions for improvement. Practice in context. I genuinely value constructive feedback because it allows me to refine my approach and improve continuously. Please feel free to share any suggestions for improvement. Repeat slowly. Refine my approach. Improve continuously. Now, let's move into vocabulary for describing ambition in everyday conversations. Instead of, "I want a better job," say, "I'm seeking greater professional fulfillment," or "I'm aiming for a role that offers more meaningful challenges." Repeat. Seeking greater professional fulfillment offers more meaningful challenges. Practice this realistic conversation. Why are you considering changing jobs? I'm seeking greater professional fulfillment and aiming for a role that offers more meaningful challenges. That sounds reasonable. I believe growth requires stepping beyond your comfort zone. Repeat. Stepping beyond your comfort zone. Now let's strengthen how you express disappointment without sounding dramatic. Instead of saying, "I'm very disappointed," say, "I'm somewhat disheartened," or "I find the outcome rather discouraging." Repeat. Somewhat disheartened. Rather discouraging. Practice this reflective sentence. Although I invested significant effort in the project, I found the final outcome rather discouraging. However, I recognize that setbacks are part of the learning process. For repeat. Setbacks are part of the learning process. Another advanced conversational skill is expressing reassurance. Instead of saying, "Don't worry," you can say, "There's no need for concern," or "Rest assured, everything is under control." Repeat. There's no need for concern. Rest assured, everything is under control. Practice this short, supportive dialogue. I'm anxious about tomorrow's presentation. There's no need for concern. You've prepared thoroughly, and I'm confident you'll perform exceptionally well. Thank you. Rest assured, you're more capable than you realize. Repeat. Perform exceptionally well. More capable than you realize. Now let's focus on strengthening how you describe progress over time. Instead of, "I'm getting better," say, "I'm making steady progress," or "I've noticed a considerable improvement." Repeat. Making steady progress. Noticed a considerable improvement. Practice in context. Over the past few months, I've noticed a considerable improvement in my fluency. I'm making steady progress and feel increasingly confident in complex conversations. Repeat. Considerable improvement. Increasingly confident. Advanced English also requires confidence when expressing future intentions. Instead of saying, I will try, say, I intend to, or I plan to pursue. Repeat. I intend to pursue further growth. I plan to expand my expertise. Practice this motivational exercise with me. Moving forward, I intend to pursue further growth and plan to expand my expertise through consistent practice and active engagement in meaningful discussions. Repeat. Pursue further growth. Active engagement. Now let's integrate everything into a longer conversation practice that feels natural and fluent. I've been reflecting on my career lately. What have you concluded? I've realized that while I've made steady progress, I'm seeking greater professional fulfillment. That's understandable. I intend to pursue opportunities that align more closely with my long-term vision. That sounds like a thoughtful decision. Yes, I believe growth requires strategic planning and consistent effort. Repeat key phrases. Made steady progress. Align more closely with my long-term vision. Strategic planning and consistent effort. Do you notice something important? None of these sentences are extremely complicated, yet they sound advanced because of careful vocabulary choice. Fluency is built through deliberate refinement, not complexity, but clarity. Now let's continue with a strong integrated practice exercise for practice. I have encountered numerous challenges throughout my journey, but I remain committed to continuous improvement. Although certain outcomes were discouraging, I gained valuable insight from each experience. I sincerely appreciate constructive feedback, as it enables me to refine my approach and pursue greater professional fulfillment. With steady progress and strategic planning, I am confident that I will achieve meaningful and sustainable success. Repeat that entire practice exercise slowly and confidently. Continuous improvement, constructive feedback, sustainable success. Your vocabulary is expanding, your expression is becoming more polished, and your conversations are beginning to sound natural and articulate. Keep practicing aloud, because mastery develops through repetition and intentional effort. Now let's continue by refining how you express subtle meanings in or everyday conversations. Because at an advanced level, fluency is often about nuance, about choosing a word that perfectly captures your intention instead of using a general term. Many learners say, "I'm thinking about it." A more refined expression would be, "I'm giving it careful consideration," or "I'm weighing my options." Repeat after me. I'm giving it careful consideration. I'm weighing my options. Now let's expand this into a realistic conversation. Have you decided whether to accept the offer? I'm still giving it careful consideration. I want to weigh my options before making a final commitment. That sounds sensible. Yes. I prefer to evaluate all potential outcomes before reaching a decision. Repeat key phrases. Weigh my options. Evaluate all potential outcomes. Reach a decision. Notice how these expressions sound calm and deliberate. This is how advanced speakers communicate, with composure and clarity. Now let's strengthen your vocabulary for describing improvement in others. Instead of saying, "You are getting better," you could say, "You've shown remarkable progress," or "Your improvement has been truly impressive." Repeat, "You've shown remarkable progress." Your improvement has been truly impressive. Practice this supportive exercise with me. I've noticed that you've shown remarkable progress over the past few weeks. Your confidence has grown steadily, and your ability to articulate your thoughts has become truly impressive. Repeat slowly. Remarkable progress. Articulate your thoughts. Now let's work on describing. See opportunities that require courage. Instead of saying, "It's scary but good," say, "It's intimidating yet rewarding," or "It's challenging but ultimately worthwhile." Repeat. Intimidating yet rewarding. Ultimately worthwhile. Practice in context. Starting a new career can be intimidating yet rewarding. Although it involves uncertainty, the experience is often challenging but ultimately worthwhile. Repeat. Intimidating yet rewarding. Ultimately worthwhile. Advanced vocabulary also involves expressing reflection about the past. Instead of saying, "I regret it," you can say, "In hindsight, I would have approached it differently," or, "Looking back, I recognize that I could have handled the situation more effectively." Repeat. In hindsight, looking back, I recognize. Practice this reflective sentence. In hindsight, I would have approached the situation with greater patience and clearer communication. However, the experience taught me valuable lessons. Repeat. Approach the situation with greater patience. Valuable lessons. Now let's enhance how you speak about strengths and weaknesses. Instead of saying, "I'm not good at it," say, "It's not one of my strongest areas," or "I'm still developing proficiency in that field." Repeat. It's not one of my strongest areas. I'm still developing proficiency. Practice in context. Public speaking was not one of my strongest areas initially, but I've been developing proficiency through consistent practice and constructive feedback. Repeat. Developing proficiency. Constructive feedback. Another powerful upgrade is expressing dedication. Instead of, "I work hard," say, "I demonstrate consistent dedication," or "I remain steadfast in my efforts." Repeat. Demonstrate consistent dedication. Remain steadfast in my efforts. Practice this motivational exercise with me. I remain steadfast in my efforts to improve my communication skills. Even when progress feels gradual, I demonstrate consistent dedication and maintain a positive mindset. Repeat slowly. Steadfast in my efforts. Consistent dedication. Now, let's improve your ability to describe balance in life. Instead, of, "I need balance," say, "I strive to maintain a healthy equilibrium between work and personal life." Repeat. Maintain a healthy equilibrium. Practice in context. In order to sustain long-term productivity, I strive to maintain a healthy equilibrium between professional responsibilities and personal well-being. Repeat. Sustain long-term productivity, personal well-being. Advanced fluency also involves expressing clarity in goals. Instead of, "I know what I want," say, "I have a clear sense of direction," or "I possess a well-defined objective." Repeat. A clear sense of direction, a well-defined objective. Practice this sentence. Over time, I developed a clear sense of direction and established well-defined objectives that align with my long-term aspirations. Repeat. Clear sense of direction. Align with my long-term aspirations. Now, let's practice vocabulary for describing resilience in difficult times. Instead of, "I didn't give up," say, "I remained resilient," or "I persevered despite adversity." Repeat. I remained resilient. I persevered despite adversity. Practice in context. Despite facing significant obstacles, I remained resilient and persevered despite adversity. These experiences strengthened my determination and expanded my perspective. Repeat. persevered despite adversity, strengthened my determination. Now, let's integrate several advanced expressions into a longer narrative practice. Over the past year, I've been now giving careful consideration to my long-term objectives. Although certain opportunities seemed intimidating at first, I recognized that they were ultimately worthwhile. In hindsight, I understand that growth often requires stepping beyond familiar boundaries. While public speaking was not one of my strongest areas initially, I've shown remarkable progress through consistent dedication. I remain steadfast in my efforts and strive to maintain a healthy equilibrium between ambition and well-being. Repeat this entire narrative slowly, giving careful consideration, stepping beyond familiar boundaries. Maintain a healthy equilibrium. Advanced English also requires smooth transitions when shifting ideas. Instead of abruptly changing topics, you can say, "That being said," on a related note, or "with that in mind." Repeat. That being said, on a related note, with that in mind. Practice in conversation. I understand the risks involved. That being said, I believe the potential benefits outweigh the uncertainties. With that in mind, I'm prepared to move forward confidently. Repeat. Potential benefits outweigh the uncertainties. Now let's strengthen your persuasive tone even further. Instead of saying, "This is important for everyone," say, "This holds significant relevance for individuals across various fields." Repeat. Holds significant relevance. Individuals across various fields. Practice in context. Developing advanced vocabulary holds significant relevance for individuals across various professional and academic fields. It enhances credibility, fosters clarity, and strengthens overall communication effectiveness. Repeat. Fosters clarity, communication effectiveness. Now let's continue with a comprehensive advanced practice. An exercise. I have been weighing my options carefully and giving thoughtful consideration to my future goals. Although certain decisions involve uncertainty, I remain resilient and steadfast in my efforts. In hindsight, I recognize that each challenge has contributed to my growth and strengthened my sense of direction. By maintaining a healthy equilibrium and demonstrating consistent dedication, I'm confident that I will achieve sustainable and meaningful success. Repeat this entire practice. Exercise slowly and confidently, weighing my options carefully, strengthened my sense of direction, sustainable and meaningful success. Your language is becoming more precise, more composed, more deliberate. This is what advanced fluency feels like. Not rushed, not complicated, but intentional and articulate. Keep speaking slowly. Keep choosing your words carefully, because we are about to move even deeper into expressive mastery. Now let's continue by mastering one of the most powerful aspects of advanced English, expressing ideas with sophistication during deeper discussions, because real fluency shows when you can explain opinions, defend your viewpoint, and explore complex topics without sounding repetitive or basic. Many learners say, "I think this is wrong." A more refined version would be, "I find this approach questionable," or "I have reservations about this strategy." Repeat after me. "I find this approach questionable. I have reservations about this strategy." Now let's expand that into a thoughtful discussion. I understand the intention behind this proposal. However, I find this approach questionable due to its potential long-term implications. I have reservations about its sustainability and overall effectiveness. You repeat slowly. Potential long-term implications. Sustainability and overall effectiveness. Notice how calm and analytical that sounds. Advanced English is rarely emotional or dramatic. It is measured and deliberate. Now let's strengthen how you express curiosity. Instead of saying, "I want to know more," say, "I'm eager to gain deeper insight," or "I'm genuinely curious to explore this further." Repeat. Eager to gain deeper insight. Genuinely curious to explore this further. Practice this short exchange. That's an interesting concept. Yes, I'm genuinely curious to explore this further. I'd like to gain deeper insight into how it functions in practice. That's a thoughtful approach. I believe understanding the underlying principles is essential. Repeat key phrases. Underlying principles. Gain deeper insight. Now let's upgrade how you describe improvement in thinking. Instead of saying, "I changed my mind," you can say, "I reassessed my perspective," or "I reconsidered my position after further reflection." Repeat. Reassessed my perspective. Reconsidered my position. Practice in context. After reviewing the data and reflecting carefully, I reassessed my perspective and reconsidered my position on the matter. Repeat slowly. Reviewing the data. Reflecting carefully. Advanced fluency also involves describing influence in discussions. Instead of, "You convinced me," say, "Your argument was persuasive," or "Your reasoning was compelling." Repeat. Your argument was persuasive. Your reasoning was compelling. Practice this realistic dialogue. I wasn't sure at first. What changed your mind? Your reasoning was compelling, and the evidence you presented was persuasive. I'm glad it clarified things. It certainly provided valuable clarity. Repeat. Provided valuable clarity. Now, let's deepen your ability to describe effort in intellectual work. Instead of saying, "I studied a lot," say, "I engaged in extensive research," or "I devoted considerable time to analysis." Repeat. Engaged in extensive research. Devoted considerable time to analysis. Practice this reflective sentence. Before forming my conclusion, I engaged in extensive research and devoted considerable time to analyzing multiple perspectives. Repeat. Analyzing multiple perspectives. Another advanced skill is describing responsibility. Instead of, "It's my fault," you can say, "I take full responsibility for the oversight," or "I acknowledge my role in the outcome." Repeat. I take full responsibility for the oversight. I acknowledge my role in the outcome. Practice in context. I take full responsibility for the oversight and acknowledge my role in the outcome. I will ensure that similar mistakes are avoided in the future. Repeat. Acknowledge my role. Avoided in the future. Now let's refine how you express long-term thinking. Instead of saying, "It's good for the future," say, "It has long-term viability," or "It contributes to sustainable development." Repeat. Long-term viability. Contributes to sustainable development. Practice this sentence. This initiative demonstrates long-term viability and contributes to sustainable development across multiple sectors. Repeat slowly. Long-term viability. Sustainable development. Advanced vocabulary also strengthens storytelling in professional settings. Instead of saying, "The project was hard," say, "The project presented significant challenges," or "The project demanded strategic problem-solving." Repeat. presented significant challenges, demanded strategic problem-solving, practice in context. The project presented significant challenges that demanded strategic problem-solving and collaborative effort. However, the experience ultimately strengthened our capacity for innovation. Repeat, collaborative effort strengthened our capacity. Now let's integrate advanced vocabulary into a more complex discussion-style practice exercise. Over time, I reassessed my perspective and reconsidered my position on several important issues. After engaging in extensive research and analyzing multiple viewpoints, I gained deeper insight into the long-term implications of each decision. Although certain strategies initially seemed appealing, I found some approaches questionable due to their limited sustainability. By taking full responsibility for my choices and learning from each experience, I strengthened my ability to think critically and act strategically. Repeat this entire practice exercise slowly. Reassessed my perspective. Long-term implications. Think critically and act strategically. Now let's focus on sounding composed during disagreement. Instead of "you're wrong," you can say, "I respectfully see the situation differently," or "I interpret the circumstances from another angle." Repeat, "I respectfully see the situation differently. I interpret the circumstances from another angle." Practice in dialogue. "I believe this is the best option." "I respectfully see the situation differently." "I interpret the circumstances from another angle based on recent developments." "That's fair." "I believe a revised approach may yield more sustainable results." Repeat, revised approach. Yield more sustainable results. Another advanced expression relates to evaluating outcomes. Instead of saying, "It worked well," say, "It proved highly effective," or "The results exceeded expectations." Repeat, proved highly effective, exceeded expectations. Practice in context. The revised strategy proved highly effective, and the results ultimately exceeded expectations. Repeat, exceeded expectations. Now let's practice a long integrated narrative for fluency training. Throughout my professional journey, I have encountered situations that required careful analysis and thoughtful decision-making. At times, I found certain approaches questionable and chose to reassess my perspective. By engaging in extensive research and considering multiple viewpoints, I gained deeper insight into sustainable solutions. Although some projects presented significant challenges, they ultimately strengthened my strategic thinking and problem-solving abilities. I take full responsibility for my decisions, remain open to constructive feedback, and continuously refine my approach. As a result, I have developed greater confidence in my capacity to think critically and communicate with clarity. Repeat this entire narrative slowly and clearly. Thoughtful decision-making, sustainable solutions, strategic thinking, communicate with clarity. Do you feel how your language is evolving? Your sentences are becoming richer, your vocabulary more precise, your tone more composed. This is the transformation from basic expression to advanced fluency. Now repeat this affirmation with strength. I express my ideas with depth and clarity. I evaluate situations thoughtfully, communicate respectfully, and articulate my reasoning confidently. My vocabulary empowers me to engage in meaningful and sophisticated discussions. Stay focused. We are approaching the final stage of mastering advanced conversational expression. Now let's move into the final stage of your advanced vocabulary mastery, by bringing everything together into extended, natural, real-life speaking practice. Because fluency is not built from isolated sentences. It is built from sustained expression, from the ability to speak for longer periods, with clarity, structure, and confidence. Imagine you are in a professional networking event, speaking with someone you have just met. Instead of saying, "I work in marketing and I like it," you might say, "I currently work in marketing, where I focus on strategic communication and brand development. I find the field both intellectually stimulating and professionally rewarding." Repeat after me: strategic communication and brand development, intellectually stimulating and professionally rewarding. Now expand that. Set conversation. What inspired you to enter that field? I've always been intrigued by the psychology behind consumer behavior. Over time, I developed a strong interest in understanding how messaging influences perception and decision-making. That's fascinating. Yes, it's a dynamic field that requires both analytical thinking and creative insight. Repeat key phrases. Psychology behind consumer behavior, influences perception and decision-making, analytical thinking and creative, or insight. Notice how this sounds fluent, without being overly complicated. The vocabulary is precise, the tone is calm, the structure is clear. Now let's practice an extended reflective monologue that integrates advanced vocabulary naturally. I'd like you to listen carefully first, then repeat sentence by sentence. Over the past few years, I have made a conscious effort to expand my vocabulary and refine my communication skills. Initially, I struggled to articulate complex ideas with clarity, so often relying on basic expressions that failed to capture my true intentions. However, through consistent practice and exposure to advanced language patterns, I gradually developed greater confidence in my ability to express nuanced thoughts. I now approach conversations with a more analytical mindset, carefully selecting words that align with my intended meaning. Although progress has been gradual, it has been undeniably transformative. Now repeat that slowly and confidently. Conscious, mo effort. Articulate complex ideas. Express nuanced thoughts. Undeniably transformative. Let's deepen your fluency by practicing a longer conversational exchange about personal development. I've been reflecting on my progress lately. What have you discovered? I've realized that meaningful growth requires deliberate practice and sustained commitment. While natural talent can be beneficial, consistent effort ultimately determines long-term success. That's insightful. I've also learned, that setbacks are not failures, but rather opportunities to reassess my approach and strengthen my resilience. Repeat key expressions, deliberate practice, sustained commitment, reassess my approach, strengthen my resilience. Now let's simulate a discussion about making a difficult decision. It must have been hard to leave your previous position. It was certainly challenging. I had invested considerable time and energy into that role. However, I recognized that remaining there would limit my long-term development. So you chose growth over comfort? Exactly. I concluded that stepping beyond familiar boundaries was essential for achieving my broader objectives. Repeat. Invested considerable time and energy. Limit my long-term development. Stepping beyond familiar boundaries. Now we will practice a comprehensive fluency building exercise that combines professional vocabulary, emotional vocabulary, and analytical thinking. At this stage of my journey, I strive to maintain she's clear sense of direction while remaining adaptable to change. I recognize that uncertainty is an inevitable component of growth, but I no longer view it as a source of anxiety. Instead, I interpret it as an opportunity to explore new perspectives and expand my capabilities. By giving careful consideration to each decision and weighing potential outcomes thoughtfully, I ensure that my actions align with my long-term vision. Through resilience, strategic planning, and consistent dedication, I continue to refine both my skills and my mindset. Repeat that entire practice exercise slowly, inevitable component of growth. Align with my long-term vision, refine both my skills and my mindset. Now let's strengthen your ability to speak spontaneously about success and progress in daily life. Imagine someone asks you how your English is improving. Basic response: "It's getting better." Advanced response: "I've noticed steady and measurable improvement in both my fluency and my confidence." Say, "I'm now able to articulate my thoughts more precisely and engage in more complex discussions without hesitation." Repeat: steady and measurable improvement. Articulate my thoughts more precisely. Engage in more complex discussions. Now expand that answer into a longer explanation. In the beginning, I often felt hesitant and uncertain about my vocabulary choices. However, through deliberate practice and consistent exposure to advanced expressions, I gradually strengthened my linguistic confidence. I still encounter challenges occasionally, but I now view them as opportunities for refinement rather than obstacles. Repeat: linguistic confidence. Opportunities for refinement rather than obstacles. Let's now bring everything together in one final extended fluency practice passage. This is your advanced mastery practice exercise. Speak it slowly, clearly, and confidently. I am committed to continuous growth and the deliberate expansion of my vocabulary. Over time, I have developed a deeper understanding of how precise language enhances clarity and strengthens communication. Rather than relying on simple or repetitive expressions, I consciously select words that reflect depth, intention, and nuance. I remain open to constructive feedback, resilient in the face of challenges, and steadfast in my dedication to improvement. Each conversation serves as an opportunity to refine my articulation, broaden my perspective, and reinforce my confidence. Through sustained effort and thoughtful practice, I have transformed my basic English into a more advanced and sophisticated form of expression. I now communicate with greater composure, greater precision, and greater impact. Repeat this entire passage slowly. Deliberate expansion, reflect depth and nuance, reinforce my confidence, greater composure, greater precision, greater impact. Take a breath and say this final internal affirmation, silently or aloud. I think critically. I speak deliberately. I express myself with clarity and sophistication. My vocabulary empowers me to communicate confidently in every situation. My fluency is no longer basic. It is intentional, refined, and continuously evolving. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and committing yourself to improving your English at a deeper level. I truly hope this masterclass has helped you understand that advanced vocabulary is not about sounding complicated. It is about sounding clear, precise, and confident. It is about, say, choosing words intentionally and expressing your ideas with depth and meaning. If you practiced along with me, repeated the sentences, reflected on the examples, and challenge yourself to upgrade basic expressions into more refined ones, then you have already taken a powerful step toward real fluency. Remember, transformation does not happen overnight. It happens through consistent exposure, deliberate practice, and the willingness to push beyond your comfort zone. Keep integrating these now advanced words into your daily conversations. Use them when you speak about your goals, your challenges, your opinions, and your experiences. The more you apply them in real life, the more natural they will become, and the more confident you will feel every time you speak. If you found this session valuable, make sure you continue practicing regularly and revisit the parts that felt challenging. Fluency grows through repetition and refinement, not perfection. Every time you speak with intention and clarity, you strengthen your communication skills. I'm proud of the effort you're making, and I'm excited to continue this journey with you. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep elevating your English. I'll see you in the next lesson.